Today we are going to be going over the Travis Kelce draft strategy. And you may ask, what is the Travis Kelce draft strategy? Well, it is a draft strategy where when you're picking in the top of the first round, you're going to be grabbing an elite running back and pairing him with Travis Kelce in the bottom of the second round. And I was running through some mock drafts over the last few days, and I really liked how these turned out based on a few different outcomes. This draft strategy is a lot more, what's the word I'm looking for? A lot more outcomes than just a one, like, no running back or no wide receiver draft where you're picking three players of the same position. In this draft strategy, you're able to customize your team to see how you think it should be best built. And I'm going to be going over why I think being able to acquire 2 to even 3 players at the top of their position will be giving you a weekly advantage. So this draft strategy applies to any picks really 1 through 6. It all depends on being able to get Kelce in the back of the second round, because currently in ESPN redraft leagues, Travis Kelce has an ADP of 18. And those 1 through 6 picks in a 12-team league will be having the 18th through 24th pick in the second round. So for this video's sake, we're going to be saying we have the third pick, and with the third pick in our half-point PPR league, we're going to be taking Ezekiel Elliott to start off our draft. And we're going to be picking at 2-9, so second round, 9th pick. And Travis Kelce could be there, he may not be. His ADP is 18, but I think that's going to drop a little bit when there's some more hype with some of these running backs and receivers compared to the boring tight end that is just the same every single year. And we're trying to get Travis Kelce on that turn. And you may ask, why are we trying to get Travis Kelce? Tight ends, you should wait on them. They're overvalued. Just get your running backs and receivers early. Well, in the beginning of drafts, we're trying to minimize risk. And over the last 4 seasons, Travis Kelce has the tight end finishes of tight end 1, tight end 1, tight end 2, and tight end 1. He is constantly the tight end 1 or one outlier year, tight end 2. Even with Mahomes last year missing time, Kelce dominated, finishing another tight end 1 season. And I think in the second round, being able to draft a player at the top of their position, giving you a weekly advantage at that tight end position every single week, is something you can't pass up. So I made this draft strategy. I haven't seen anybody else utilize it. And it's trying to maximize those positions where you have a weekly advantage. And that's why we're going to be going running back early in the first round, because guys like Saquon, McCaffrey, and Zeke, even Dalvin Cook, if he's healthy, or Kamara, will be having a weekly advantage at that running back 1 slot. So when you have one of those elite running backs and you have Travis Kelce, you're virtually starting off your draft with 2 weekly matchup advantages in the RB1 slot and the tight end 1 slot. And you may say this is not a draft strategy, but I think it is, because where we take the draft strategy is what makes it so effective. So if you're picking third for our sake, we take Ezekiel Elliott at 3 and Travis Kelce at 21. And on the turn, we have third round, third pick. And you could do a lot of things here. But I think there's a very interesting route to this draft that could be a potential league winner. On the turn, you take Patrick Mahomes. And I know I've always been a big QB, wait for your QB, stream QBs throughout the season. It's the way to go. This year, there's more QB depth than ever. And you're going to be able to get like a QB 10 finish cumulatively, or even higher if you're really good streaming throughout the season. But if you take Mahomes, and Mahomes is what we expect him to be, the QB1 for the whole entire year, maybe slightly behind Lamar Jackson, but he's basically, him and Jackson are in their own echelon of the elite, dominant, could put up 40 every week QBs. And if you take Mahomes at the top of the third round with the, I believe, 33rd pick, and Mahomes' ADP is a bit lower, but in many mock drafts, I've been seeing him fall to this early third round pick. If you take Mahomes here, you have Ezekiel Elliott, arguably one of the best arguably, possibly RB1 on the year. Travis Kelce, I would be surprised if he's not tight end 1, possibly tight end 2. And Patrick Mahomes, arguably the best QB outside of Lamar Jackson. You have 3 players in the first 3 rounds that have the potential to finish at the top of their position. Most leagues are starting a QB, 2 running backs, 2 receivers, and a tight end. That is a total. Well, you have a flex as well. That is a total of 7 positions, and you already have 3 weekly matchup advantages. And that is huge, I think. It's an unorthodox draft strategy, but I think the consistency you're getting out of these 3 players and their probability to finish so high at their current ADP and their current price, it's just hard to pass on because you're getting 3 players in the first 3 rounds that are pretty safe picks. I don't think anyone expects Zeke, Kelce, or Mahomes to bust. Even if you're taking Saquon, Kamara, Cook, those are guys that, if Cook doesn't hold out at least, are all going to be finishing at the top of their position. And you're taking 3 almost sure thing picks. And what I like about this strategy is the wide receiver depth this year is unreal. And you may say, we don't have a wide receiver in our first 3 picks. Well, I don't even know if you take a wide receiver in your first 4 picks. What I've been doing in these mock drafts is I've almost been looking for an elite RB2 in the 4th round because I've been seeing some great value with guys that I really like in the 4th round, such as David Johnson and Todd Gurley. And I think getting these guys in the 4th round who carry some risk, they're huge upside plays though. Gurley and DJ, both on new teams, both are going to be feature guys, I think have great possibilities to return to what they were in years past. Is Gurley going to rush for 20 touchdowns? No. Is David Johnson going to have 2K scrimmage yards? No. But I think both of those guys have top 10 RB potential, and to pair, and well, the first thing is, with your first 3 really safe picks, you're able to take that risk on a guy in the 4th round because you have 3 cornerstones to your team that you know are going to be consistently there. Because some people say, may take a receiver. Why don't you take a receiver? There's great receivers here, such as maybe Juju or Robert Woods. But I think you can even wait on receiver and draft a elite RB2 with extremely high upside. And if that 4th pick pans out, that's the one that's important. If the David Johnson, who I love, and I've covered on our Instagram at gridiron_guys_YT, why I love David Johnson, and Todd Gurley is starting to grow on me after I've realized his injury concerns may be a bit overblown. Those are guys that I think will make your roster. If that pick hits, that is an extremely, extremely good team. I think it's very reasonable for a guy like David Johnson and Todd Gurley to finish the year with 1,500 scrimmage yards and 10 touchdowns, which would likely lead them to a RB 6, 7, or 8 finish on the year. And with the 3 players ahead of them, that is an insane team. This is the risky route of the 3 routes I mapped out on this draft strategy, but I don't even think it's that risky because after this, I have found a lot of wide receivers I like in the mid-tier rounds. You can find guys like Devontae Parker, DJ Chark, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. These are all guys you can be finding in the 4th, 5th, even 6th rounds if their ADP drops. And those are guys who I really like their upside. I want to start with Devontae Parker. He finished as the wide receiver 6 last year. On the year, wide receiver 6. After the whole Rosen experiment, where the first 3 to 4 games were just a complete disaster, he was the wide receiver 2 for the last 13 games, only behind Michael Thomas. Currently being drafted not even as a wide receiver 1 and as barely a low-end wide receiver 2. The upside is crazy with Parker, and I think people are overblowing the fact that, Tua may come in. He may not have that connection. Well, odds are if Tua's playing, he's playing well. They expect him to play well, better than Fitzpatrick. I'm not that concerned about Tua. I think Parker is an easy 1,000-yard receiver. Another guy I love to finish out this risky draft strategy with the DJ or Gurley in the 4th round is DJ Chark. He may have to be picked before Devontae Parker, depending on where their ADPs are over the next few weeks. But I think these are great 5th and 6th round targets. I've been seeing them dropping down to 5th and 6th round. And DJ Chark is a guy I love because he broke out last year and had 1,000 yards with Gardner Minshew. Jacksonville was a run-heavy team last year. Fournette played really well. He's been banged up. Who knows if Fournette's going to play all of next year Will he be on the field? Will his pass catching numbers be that high? Then there's Chris Thompson. Will he take receptions? He's never been healthy either. I think Minshew's going to progress. I think Chark is going to continue to break out. And I expect Jacksonville to win barely any games next year. So every single game script for Chark should be great. I think he will eclipse the 1,000-yard mark again, but by a lot more. And I think him and Parker are two receivers that can both finish as high-end wide receiver 2s to round out a roster where you arguably have the QB1, the tight end 1, and a top 3 running back with the potential to have a top 1 running back. And then you're getting 2 wide receiver 2s in Parker, Chark, DK. I love DK too. I mean, that is a draft strategy where your first 3 picks have no risk and your mid-tier picks have moderate risk. And I think that's a league-winning strategy. But say you don't want to take Mahomes and you're a streaming QB, you like to stream QBs, you think tight end and QB are overvalued. I understand that. So I mapped out 2 other draft strategies that I think really work for this strategy. So say we take Zeke and then Kelce. And then the third round, we're not taking Mahomes. And I think a great guy to pair with Zeke, and this is for half PPR because I think a lot of people play half PPR. Standard's kind of becoming a thing of the past. But I would take Austin Eckler. And if you're not being half PPR or PPR, you can take Kenyon Drake. And these are guys that I think are very underrated. I was low on Drake in the beginning of the year, but he started to grow on me. And I think Eckler, with the reception totals he will be putting up with Melvin Gordon's departure, even with Tyrod Taylor, I think he's going to be dunking the ball, short passes. Eckler's going to catch another maybe 100 passes. He's never relied on the run game. I mean, I just think Eckler is in for the same season he had last year, and he finished as an RB1. You're getting him with your third-round pick. That'd be 2 RB1s and a tight end 1. That is something that is hard to find. And if you're in a standard league, I think Kenyon Drake is a great value at the start of the third round. Another great pairing with Ezekiel Elliott to form a elite running back core, and you'll have a great tight end 1, 2 RB1s, potentially Zeke finishing as an RB1 on the year. I think he's been slept on with his upside. People think that they're a pass first team, this and that. But I mean, it's only going to open up lanes for Zeke. And as a Giants fan, I should be the one saying Zeke's going to have a bad year, but I think that Zeke's going to have one of his better years of his career. And you may say, why are we neglecting the wide receiver position? Because the wide receiver depth is so good. There's no need to worry. And say we take Kenyon Drake or Austin Eckler instead of Mahomes. You can pick a wide receiver like Juju Smith-Schuster or Robert Woods in the 4th round. And I think both of those guys have low-end wide receiver 1 potential. I mean, when Juju played that full year with Big Ben, he outpaced Antonio Brown for almost the entire year. With Antonio Brown there, he'll be a target monster, PPR monster. And Robert Woods, a guy who barely scored last year, I think finished wide receiver 20 on the year, 22. And with the departure of Brandon Cooks and Todd Gurley, there is so many targets up in the air for the Rams offense, and I love Robert Woods. If Cooper Kupp drops there, I love him even more because that touchdown potential. But the wide receivers, you can wait, especially with a tight end like Travis Kelce. He's essentially a wide receiver playing the tight end position. He puts up wide receiver 1 numbers every single season. And say you are trying to get the most balanced roster. You don't want to go RB in the first 3 rounds after Kelce. We can go 2 wide receivers to form an even more dynamic team. We take Ezekiel Elliott, top of his position. Travis Kelce, top of his position. And then we can take guys like Cooper Kupp, Amari Cooper, A.J. Brown to pair with Juju or Robert Woods. So you're forming you're getting an actual wide receiver 1 with a very strong wide receiver 2 to form an even more balanced team. And I think that when people say, oh, I'm going to wait on a tight end, blah, 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 it's almost, I think, impossible to not pick Travis Kelce at the back of the second round because he's putting up wide receiver 1 numbers, and he's done it for 4 years in a row. I mean, you can't pass on that. And I think that the strategy with Mahomes, that stack even, will be league winning. Say Kelce gets 2 touchdowns from Mahomes in one game. That's 12 points just there for Kelce and 10 points or 8 points. That's 20 points total just on the touchdowns, not even the yardage, not even the entire game. That stack will be crazy. If Mahomes and Kelce have 2-3 good games together, those are easy wins for you every single week. And it's just, having a position, guys that are going to win you weeks. That's what I'm trying to say. I've said position advantage a few times now, but I'm going to clarify it as the video is about to wrap up. Having a guy like Travis Kelce is an advantage in any matchup you're going to play throughout the year. He's matchup proof. No matter who he's playing, Travis Kelce is probably the tight end 1, 2, maybe even 3 for the week, which is probably going to give you an advantage over your opponent. Patrick Mahomes is the same way. In the third round, you're getting the QB that will be likely better than any other QB you're going to be facing in a weekly matchup. Same thing with Zeke. So in the 3 positions out of your roster that only contains 1 QB, 2 running backs, 2 receivers, likely a flex and a tight end, so that's a total of 7 positions plus a defense, and if your kicker, if your league has it, you're starting off your first 3 picks with 3 advantages in that roster. And you're able to round it out with wide receivers who are going to be much closer matchups than you think will be throughout the year. I will be getting into a video in the next coming weeks about the great wide receivers you can be drafting in rounds 4, 5, and 6 to fill out your roster, and why I'm so heavily supporting getting 2 running backs in the first 3 rounds this year and getting wide receivers in the mid rounds, even later rounds. Guys like Emmanuel Sanders, Jamison Crowder, even Darius Lee, and I think have breakout potential to be really, really strong flexes or a high-end wide receiver 2s, and I'm going to be getting into why those wide receivers are poised for breakout seasons. And if you like the video, make sure to like and subscribe for more draft strategy videos in the next coming month, and comment down below which draft path would you choose on the, Travis Kelce strategy is what I'm going to call it. Would you go for Mahomes to try to have 3 positional advantages on a weekly basis? Go for the running back in the 3rd round to form an elite running back core? Or would you go for the wide receivers in rounds 3 and 4 to make a very balanced roster? Let me know down in the comment section. And make sure to stay tuned for more videos and draft strategy videos throughout the week.